You know, life has a funny way of bringing strangers together when they need each other most. And sometimes, the person you least expect to change your life forever is the one who shows up at your doorstep when you're barely holding things together. This is the story of a struggling single dad, a wounded soldier mom, her little boy, and the secret that none of them saw coming. Stick with me till the end, because you're not going to believe how everything turned out. Daniel Carter never planned on becoming a single dad. His wife passed away when their daughter Lily was just 4, leaving him to raise her alone. He worked long hours as a mechanic in a small town, his hands always covered in grease, his face lined with exhaustion far beyond his years. But despite his struggles, Daniel was known in town as the man who never said no to anyone in need. He didn't have much money, but he had a heart big enough to shelter the world. One chilly autumn evening, Daniel was closing up his shop when he noticed a woman sitting outside the grocery store. Her clothes were worn, her face pale, and her leg rested awkwardly on crutches. Beside her sat a little boy no older than 6, holding a toy truck with wheels barely hanging on. People walked past them, some offering pitying glances, others ignoring them completely. But something about the woman's tired eyes tugged at Daniel's heart. He approached gently, crouching down to the boy's level. "You okay there, buddy?" he asked softly. The boy nodded but clutched his toy tighter. The woman raised her eyes to Daniel, and for a moment he saw both strength and exhaustion mixed into one. I'm fine," she said, though her voice trembled. "Just waiting, trying to figure out where to go next." Her name was Sarah. She was a former soldier who had returned from service with an injury that left her unable to work steady jobs. She'd been moving from place to place with her son, Jacob, after losing what little support she had. When Daniel asked where she was headed, she simply looked away, as if ashamed to admit she had no answer. Most people would have offered a few dollars or wished her luck. Daniel did something else. He offered them a place to stay. "Look," he said, scratching the back of his neck nervously. "I've got a spare room at my house. It's not fancy, but it's warm. My daughter could use the company. You and your boy, you don't have to sleep out here." Sarah hesitated, pride warring with desperation. But the cold air biting through her thin jacket and Jacob's shivering body made the decision for her. She accepted. That night, as they settled into Daniel's modest home, Lily giggled with Jacob over coloring books while Sarah sat silently at the kitchen table, staring into her tea. Daniel could see the weight she carried, though she tried to hide it behind polite smiles. Over the weeks that followed, something beautiful began to happen. Lily and Jacob became inseparable, filling the house with the laughter Daniel thought he'd lost forever after his wife's passing. Sarah, too, started to soften, finding comfort in the simple kindness of family life, helping with homework, cooking meals, and sharing stories from her military days. But it wasn't easy. Sarah's leg pain often kept her up at night, and she refused to talk about her past before the military. Bills piled up, and Daniel worked extra shifts just to keep the lights on. Yet, no matter how hard things got, he never once regretted opening his door to Sarah and Jacob. One snowy morning, everything changed. Daniel answered a knock at the door to find 2 sharply dressed men holding photographs of Sarah. They explained that she was the long, missing heir to the Lancaster fortune. Her wealthy family had been searching for her for years, after she disappeared during her rebellious youth. Sarah had walked away from her privileged life to join the army, determined to make her own way. She hadn't told anyone because she didn't want petty or special treatment. She just wanted to be seen as herself. Daniel was stunned. Sarah, the woman who slept on his couch and shared stories with his daughter, was a millionaire's daughter all along. But when Sarah confirmed the truth, tears filled her eyes. "I didn't want anyone to know," she admitted. "I was so tired of people only seeing the money, not me." You saw me?" At first, Daniel worried she would leave, return to a life of wealth, far from his little world. But Sarah surprised him. She told her family she'd accept their help only if they respected her independence and accepted Jacob. Then she turned to Daniel and said something that left him speechless. "If you hadn't taken us in, I don't know where we'd be. You gave us a home when you had no reason to. You gave us hope. I don't care about the money. I care about the people who were there when I had nothing." Months later, Sarah used part of her inheritance to expand Daniel's garage, turning it into a thriving business. She also set up a foundation to support wounded veterans and single parents. because she knew firsthand what it meant to struggle alone. As for Daniel, he no longer felt like a man barely holding things together. He felt like part of a real family again. The story of Daniel, Sarah, Lily, and Jacob became one of love, resilience, and the power of kindness. A single dad who thought his life was over found a second chance. A soldier mom who had lost her way found her true home. And two children learned that sometimes family isn't about blood or money. It's about the people who choose to stand by you. So, if you take anything away from this story, let it be this: the smallest act of kindness can change someone's entire world. And sometimes, when you open your door to help someone else, you're really opening the door to your own second chance.